All right, guys, welcome. I'm here with Ivan from Airbnb Prohost, and we're just so excited. You know, you just started this new journey, I would call it, this new adventure. I believe you started it 10 months ago in January.
Yeah.
Now we're in November.
Yeah.
You know, so many people have been asking questions about what your journey's looking like. What are some of the things that you've learned? What to do, what not to do?
Right.
Can you actually make money through Airbnb?
Right.
You know,
That's
a lot of people are saying, no, but that's good only if you have 20 grand in the bank and you start off that way.
Yeah.
So, you know, we wanted to do this Q&A with you guys just to show you a little bit of the wisdom that he's learned in these past few months and how he's made over $100,000 in the first 8 months, right?
Yeah, we're well over 100,000 now. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
We're all gonna get there.
Yeah.
So let's start with a few questions. Number one, how did you start this? You know, what does that first journey look like?
So, well, I mean, actually, let me describe what Airbnb. I think that was one of the questions.
Yeah.
What
Is Airbnb?
What is Airbnb to the general public that doesn't know what Airbnb is like you're living in a rock, because Airbnb is the biggest platform right now that there is for home sharing. Just like there's car sharing like Uber, Lyft. This is home sharing where you basically rent out your space, and you can make a decent income versus traditionally renting like you normally would, right? You would rent your month-to-month apartment or efficiency or house. Well, Airbnb, you're able to do it kind of like a hotel will, but
Nice.
you have your own personal home touches, you know? But yeah, I just want to make sure that we laid the ground rule with what Airbnb really was.
And another question that we have is that most people think of Airbnb as, let me buy a house or an apartment and
Right.
then put it on Airbnb.
Right.
But you have a different philosophy.
Right.
Can you share a little bit of, number one, what is it,
Yeah.
and how can you do it?
So it's called rental arbitrage is the correct term for what it is. And you're absolutely right. Most people think of Airbnb, they think that they have to go buy a house and then put it up on Airbnb, which is actually not the truth. There's a lot of people who are very successful, a lot of success stories around not using that model and using the rental arbitrage model, which is basically you go out and get a lease and then you actually rent it out. And
Nice.
arbitrage, as a definition, basically what it is that you grab a good, you enhance it in one way, and then you put it back in the market in a completely different way that adds more value. So we're basically doing that. We're renting properties, you know, getting 1-year leases or more, and we're furnishing it, putting it really nice, making it really nice, and then listing it on Airbnb with permission, legal, all of that good stuff.
So most people hear your answer and they say, wow, okay, so I can actually lease an apartment and then just rent it out. It's definitely cheaper than buying a house or an apartment. But most properties don't allow that.
Right.
So how are you doing this?
So basically what we do is we go into it as a corporate housing company. A corporate housing company by definition is a company that goes out and gets traditional spaces. They rent it. Sometimes they buy, but for the most part they rent a space, and then big corporations, be it Coca-Cola, be it GE, whoever, they go directly to the corporate housing company to house their employees and so forth and so on. So we go into it in that way, mainly because they're already familiar with that model. The only difference between a regular corporate housing company and what we do is that we get our clients through Airbnb. Outside of Airbnb, we also get bookings, but the majority is going to be through the Airbnb platform.
Nice.
So they don't necessarily agree to it off the bat. There's no community that is out there advertising, hey, we're going to accept Airbnb, we'll take that. They won't have that posted. But if you know how to go about it, and what we're going to be teaching in our course coming forth is how to go about doing it and doing it where it's legal, number one, and number two, that the actual community is contributing to it.
That's amazing. And just like Ivan said, he's going to be doing a course. We'll teach you step by step on how to do how to master
Right.
the Airbnb business.
Yeah.
And I know that the moment you heard this answer, probably your number one question is, which we got through Instagram, is how much money do I need to save to do this and do it right?
Well, I mean, that varies in so many different things, but I found that the rule of thumb in order to do rental arbitrage, which is what we mainly teach, even though we own a property that is purchased and we list, but in order to scale the business, the rental arbitrage model is the one that, you know, people are most interested in, because it doesn't require as much capital as you would when you're buying a house, right? Because you have to put down payment and all that stuff. So the number that we gravitating towards now the most, based on, you know, the multiple units that we have and, you know, the budgeting that we've done, is $5,000.
Nice.
It can vary between 2 to 7, depends how frugal you are, if you're going to buy used, you know, furniture, if you're going to buy new, but we buy everything new. And our rule of thumb, after paying deposits, first month's rent, all these different things, I think a safe number would be $5,000.
That's amazing. And many of you watching online, you might say, okay, I don't have those $5,000 right now.
Right.
In the course that Ivan is making, he's gonna actually break down for you different ways that you can get these $5,000 or start with $0 now.
Right.
Ivan, can you explain just one of the ways where you have $0 but you have great knowledge,
right,
and how you can start the Airbnb business?
So one way is becoming a co-host, which basically means a co-host is someone who does all of the managing aspects, make sure that the property is being cleaned, that your guests are being checked in and checked out. You're doing all of the legwork within it, but you can partner with someone who does have the money, or you can offer your services to other Airbnb hosts as a co-host to be able to communicate with the guests and stuff like that. Kind of like a reservations coordinator, which we have, which is the one that does all of the communications with the guests. You can start making money and get your foot in the door that way. But there's multiple ways where you can actually make money with little to no money to get started.
Which is great. And I love doing marketing. That's
Right.
kind of one of my passions, one of my businesses. And I love setting the result, right?
Right.
So I want you to speak to them real quick. What does that look like? In other words, if you jump into the Airbnb business, what are some of the things that are going to attribute to your life? Why is it a better business than putting your money in the stocks or
Right.
or flipping cars or flipping houses?
Right.
What are some of the things that you've seen? Let's start with finances.
Most of the wealthiest people in this world have a background in some way of real estate. Real estate
Right.
is something that is made the most millionaires, I believe, in the whole world. So I think it's a safe bet to go in that route, whatever that might look to you. But I think that this is kind of like I like to call it real estate 2.0, and I've
Right.
said it multiple times because of the fact that it's reinventing the real estate market, if you will. Like when Blockbuster was around, we had the CDs, and then the Netflix came around and reinvented that.
Right.
So I think that's where real estate is right now, and Airbnb is disrupting that market and allowing regular people like you and I, to come into the market without having to have huge capital or
Right.
VC to invest, or so it's just opening it to the general public. And one of our biggest goals is to equip the people so that they have the ability and the knowledge to go out and do it, regardless of how much money they have.
Right.
They can at least start somewhere, save up, and get their first unit. And it's really, an awesome experience, because we started with $2,000.
Come on, just $2,000. Now, you started with $2,000 and one property.
Right.
How many properties do you have today?
We have 10, and we're working on at least four to close the year, our first year strong. Yeah.
So probably within the next month, Ivan's gonna have 14 properties.
14, yeah.
About how much revenue have you made?
Thus far, we are a little shy of 140,000.
Awesome.
So we should finish the year at about 150,000 for our first year.
Which is amazing.
Yeah.
And another question that I love to ask, because we live in a society where time is really our slave,
Right.
Instead of us working with the time that we have and managing it, we've almost submitted to it, and we lose our time working 8 to 5 jobs, or
Yeah.
in most cases, you're not working 8 to 5, you're working 8 to 8,
Right.
and then going home to do a side hustle. So you're working all day.
Right.
How many hours on average do you find yourself working, given that you have 10 properties already?
So, I'll be honest, one of the major things that attracted me to this business is the time flexibility and the ability to make it automated, right? To automate this whole process. Every task that is necessary in this business can be delegated and you can hire for.
Right.
So that's what mainly attracted me to it. But at this point, as we stand right now, my biggest effort or my personal time is mainly consumed by when we're setting up new properties and when I'm out there scouting new properties. For the most part. At the beginning, of course, I was the one cleaning. I wanted to maximize profitability to be able to reinvest and all of that stuff. But now, as we stand at 10, which is really not that much compared to what we want to be, but we are spending. I'm personally spending maybe a month. I would say like 15 hours.
15 hours a month managing
A month, because we have a reservations coordinator who speaks to all the guests. We have cleaners, which is the bulk of the business, and then I'm the one currently now like going out there and any materials that need to be replaced. Somebody stole something, which it happens, or somebody ran out of toilet paper or what have you. I'm the one going out and getting that stuff. But again, as you grow, you start hiring for those different
Right.
things. The goal is to get to a point where you remove yourself completely from the day-to-day operation and be able to work on the business versus in the business.
Come on. Which means if you're watching and maybe you're stressed, you're frustrated with your life, maybe you don't have time for your family or for your dreams, this is a business that can open the door for you to not just make money, but be completely free and do the dreams that you have in your heart. Ivan has been doing this for about 12 months already, almost. And in this course, he's going to walk you step by step every single process that will help you master the Airbnb business. This company is called Prohost, and one of the things that I love about it is that he's not calling it Prohost because you're gonna learn how to do Airbnb. No, you're gonna be able to be the best at Airbnb and be able to do it without having to do all the sacrifice or the mistakes that maybe you had to go through. He's basically giving you a blueprint. Many people also watching, maybe you get the knowledge, but you don't have a blueprint. You don't have a step-by-step process, so it discourages you from actually doing something, using your knowledge for something. Well, in this course, they're going to make a plan for you where step by step, it'll give you timelines and it'll give you goals that will help you, encourage you, inspire you so that you actually do it. And one of the questions that a lot of people are also asking is, what are the tips to be the best in Airbnb when it comes to like furnishing and customer service and all these things? One of the one that we got asked for on Instagram was, should we buy new furniture? Should I just get old furniture and save some money? It looks nice. What's your advice? Where do you get your furniture? How do you do this?
So when it comes to that question, it really depends on what you're trying to accomplish because, it matters the demographic that you're trying to cater to. We go the new route because it's faster and we're most of the time looking for speed versus just design. Of course, when you buy new, you're able to design your space a lot better because you have more options versus when you find something on OfferUp or you're buying secondhand, you're very limited as to what you can get. But of course, understanding the fact that if you're starting with a small budget, you can buy certain things used and then revolve around that the rest of your design. But we just buy brand new to avoid any of that and make sure that we have a space that people can really feel like home. Because at the end of the day, people are staying at Airbnb, they want a home feel, right? If not, they would have stayed at a hotel, which is the biggest competitor of Airbnb. It's not other Airbnb hosts, but hotels are the competitor. So you just have to give that, that feel of it being a house, certain little things that make them feel like they're at home away from their home.
And talking about, you said something so key, which is your competition is hotels, not other Airbnbs.
Right.
So talk a little bit about how you choose your properties and how is that helping you succeed in people choosing them on top of everybody else?
So yeah, that's one of the biggest misconceptions that I see, hosts out there have is that they're trying to compete within each other. A neighbor that has an Airbnb or a couple blocks away has an Airbnb. They're not your competition because once their dates are taken, they're taken. Whereas if it's in a hotel, hotels have 150 more rooms of the exact same one. So that's your main, competitor. With that said, to go back to your question, that's what we look for. Where are their hotels?
Come on.
We kind of piggyback off the market research that they've already done and, post up next to them, in front of them. They've already know that there's a demand for rooms in that area. So what we're going to do, we're going to pull a CVS to Walgreens, or I don't know if it's the other way around.
Yeah.
One of them opens up shop here and across the street you see the next one, or with McDonald's and Burger King. We piggyback off of that, and that's how we start our market research. And then from there, see what profitability we can do and certain different things that we can, make sure that that's the case. But that's an easy way to start. Look around,
and
where the hotels are.
I think one of the important things, apart from choosing a property, is also how you price it.
Right.
Can you talk a little bit? Many people ask, man, what's the best advice for pricing? Again, all these, he's giving you the cherry on top answers.
Right. Yeah.
When you go into the course, the tip of the iceberg. Yeah. When you go into the course, you're gonna get more in-depth information on how to do this, step by step with some PDF documents that can also help you walk you through it. But what are some suggestions you have for people that are doing pricing right now?
My main thing for people who are already in Airbnb or considering doing Airbnb is to not base your pricing based on your own goals, right? Because your own goals can be, you could be leaving money on the table by basing them on your own goals, or you can, way overprice your property based because your goals are far too off. So what you need to do is do the proper market research, which we'll teach in the course, but base it to where you're actually higher than the norm, right? And then as dates starts to get closer, you start to put them on sale. And the closer they are, the unbooked nights, the closer they are, you get them even cheaper and cheaper, where you start compete with the market and the rest of the Airbnbs around you. Another price strategy is that we have multiple night stay discounts. So if you're getting a 2-night stay versus a month night stay, you're going to be getting a significant difference of a discount. So those are the main things. Of course, we'll go deep diving into those.
All right, so I'm sure you guys have many more questions for Ivan. We want to encourage you to follow our Instagram page, Airbnb Prohost, and go ahead and leave us some comments. If you have more questions, please keep putting them there. We're going to be answering them. We're going to keep doing videos. And don't forget that Ivan's going to launch a course that will take you step by step in the process that will teach you how to master the Airbnb business. So thank you, Ivan. We'll see you around.